Witness, state your name and occupation.
Yes, my name is Joan Garadeb, and I'm,
A juror and such like. Sounds like even she doesn't know if she's a housewife or a maid or what anymore. Court has decided your testimony is required in order to clarify matters in this case. Do you understand, madam?
Yes, my lord.
You will tell the court everything that took place in your household on the evening in question. Also, this is a great track. Holy cow. I warn you, do not attempt to hide the truth.
Oh, dearie me.
Chin up, Joni. Nothing to worry about now. Mr. Garadeb! We got the 1-2 act! Wasn't only you in the room that day, old thing, was it? I think I ought to testify as well, don't you? But what about your knee, dear? Don't you worry about that. Hardly noticed it. The sort of chap to leave a comrade to face disciplinary action alone.
Oh, John!
What's with all the couples on the stand? Yes, sir. Former 2nd Lieutenant of the 3rd Regiment of the 4th Northumberland Fusiliers, sir. What's with all these British words? Seen my fair share of action, and now living the quiet life, as it were. Quiet life? Were you not engaged in an incendiary battle with your spouse on the day in question? Ah, well, yes, I am, quite. I think this may represent a first in the proud history of the British court. Calling a juror to the witness stand is unprecedented. However, the court will hear your testimony now, juror number 4, and that of your husband. Recount clearly and concisely the events in your home at the time of the incident in question. Sir, at once! Finally, we can get to the bottom of this. Who would have known Sholmes would have been useful? Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. You can't recall the reason? You had a book with someone else's cat-calling card in it. Knocked a candlestick over and set fire to the cupboard. Soon had it out, though, and got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. Volley thinking the victim's back really was one of ours. You'll have a job proving it, I think. Ah, man. Sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening. Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems. Enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. Honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself, it's only true way that on every battlefield you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment. Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here? Well, I mustn't say I'm dubious this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife. Combat one's focus narrows, such that surroundings are barely noticed. These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than we've already testified, and this may be a dead end. And Zeeks may well be right. Oh, whatever the chances, I only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid so. Wait, last cross-examination? Is this actually the last cross-examination? You know what that means. Press everything until they give us more information.
Hold it!
I recall the reason. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. Remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Garrett. Rather passionate note, in fact. Miss Garrett found the note discovering your husband's little secret. There were slaps across the face for it. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when chap says he can't recall things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. Besides, half of it was wide off the mark anyways. A likely story. These waters run very deep. What transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? Knocked the candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon ended out though and got the window open. fire also spread to some of the furniture, didn't it? The bookcase, my armchair, anything of mine, really. So happens there's some bathwater around that evening, so I sloshed that about to put it out. Most precarious situation you put yourself in. Ours is a 3-story townhouse on the west side of the street, where the water main isn't connected yet. They draw water from a public water pump during the day if you need any, you see? The lodgers are always moaning that they can't get any water at night. Though a little mustache Japanese man buys water in bottles, I believe. And Mr. Natsume, you mean? Yes, he receives a stipend for his studies, you know, from his home country. Can you imagine being able to brew a pot of tea at all hours? He's obviously very well off. Have you actually seen the state of the man? He uses all of his income to buy books. Anyway, the point is, I was able to douse the fire with water, fortunately enough. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at
Hold
him.
it!
Even though the room was on fire. As far as I was concerned at the time. It was more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. If a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That's most certainly not true of a Susato takedown. How did she know I was thinking of that? Please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge. A napkin.
Excuse me!
What's up? Do you have something to add, sir? Mr. Garrett. Don't shoot! Sorry, I beg your pardon. Worf remarks just now bring something to mind. Of any significance, no? But the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction. Somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, the fire poker? I seem to recall. Ouch. The woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every volley. Ah! Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dear me, ever so sorry, dear. What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, child, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened? Your pipe, sir? Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. Went to pick the thing up. It was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see. Your pipe was broken. Never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. Ah, you are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I wonder what we should make of this account. It could be important! Friends believes Mr. Garrett's remark just now to be of great significance. This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes as well as hearts may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me, there you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Very well, the court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Hell yeah. Hey, you're fine. Let me just peek at the pipe real quick while you're talking. Well, well, well. We found the broken chip. Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in there, I think. Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? Tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade. The tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. Alright, we got it was in the pipe all along. Oh no, it's fine. We got the pipe. Thank you, game, for subtly saying I should examine the evidence, but I've already examined the evidence. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? But knives aren't my place. Can't say I noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. That bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours. You'll have a job proving it, I think. And that job was just completed.
Objection!
Mr. Garridet, could I ask you to take a look at this, please? You can ask, but I can't see a bally thing. You can't? Used to call me Deadeye Deb back in the regiment of the course, but that was some time ago now, and I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does. Dear me, it's rather wearing being asked to about every other letter and every other word. You must be very dizzy. Ha! What is that? A tiny scrap of metal? Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. What may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence? It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Garrideb's pipe. My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got in there. What precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting it is some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road? I am. Why did he do his signature? Yes! What? Put together with another piece of evidence already in the court record. Really, this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the truth behind this case. You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case? The knife.
Take that!
This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there's a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing. Common issue with inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' bones. And what of this particular knife? No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim. No, that's not the case. Tip of this particular knife's blade, the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of the pipe. Good grief, Lord Van Zeeks. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh. Case closed. Bring in the dancing lobsters. Order. Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle? Van Zeeks has figured it out, has he? Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once. Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is, when did the fragment of metal find its way inside the pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent testimony. This thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did, yes. Would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Oh, dearie me. During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Miss Garrett flying this knife at her husband. However, I've missed Mr. Garrett instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time, which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord! Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside the pipe. The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1! And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of Garrideb's house, it's the very same knife that struck the victim in the back on the street below. Oh gosh, oh dear, oh no! Ha, she's got to stand on a box.
Objection!
Oh, he's brought out the wine. Was he going to crush it, his hand or the fire? The candlestick. full-bodied theory, I'll give you that. Complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Japanese approach to bottling his argument. Sorry? After all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see... Ooh, his foot's on the bench again! It's spoilt by an immeasurable inconsistency. An insurmountable what? Zeke, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back. Yes? What of it? How the handprint is back? That's right, you silly little man. Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. The knife that struck her had fallen from above. It's the candlestick again. There's no way it could have planted itself into the victim's back, unless she was hunched over picking up a book that fell on the road in the London fog. Order. That's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head. Well, he's lost for words. Look.
I knew I'd never liked this theory in the first place.
Oh, what really did happen? What is he saying? It appeared the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. If there is even one inconsistency, it cannot stand. Your theory, my learned friend, is history. We're so close. I could see the truth. So sure we were on the right track. You are! Prove the inconsistency wrong. In other words, you simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency and the theory will stand. Thank you, Susato, for being the optimist of our party. You're just caught off guard and your mind went blank. The path you're on is indeed correct, and a way will present itself. Key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there. It seems you have nothing to say, my Japanese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. Tacit acceptance of that your theory is fatally flawed.
Objection!
Don't object with your head down. Inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. It means I'm one step from being done. To sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth. Are we doing a brain blast? It's a test! Yes. I fell on the victim from above. There's no way it could have hit her in the middle of her back. Under normal circumstances, that is. Oh, he's doing the smug pose. We know something you don't know. There's a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife fell from above would pierce the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness! Utter madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... the lion's pride!
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. The final piece of evidence the defense will present. The burnt book. Is that not Mr. Garrideb's book? Yes, and to understand its significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. Photographic print clearly shows the book in question. The victim holding it in her hand. As we all know, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so, as part of his wholesale transfunding of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road. It's true, however, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand? Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it.
we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
In other words, the victim had already picked the book up of her own volition. Clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound. Well, I should say so. Being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything. The question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand? By Jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now.
Oh, dearie me!
We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Garrideb household onto the pavement below, precisely the moment that the victim was walking past. Yes, exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog. The London fog! What did I say? I said it all last time, too. All of a sudden, the book fell right in front of her. The book I threw! Yes, Miss Garrideb. What do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book!
Oh heavens!
When the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. At the same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume. Well, I never! Appeared to Mr. Natsume, the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above. Ah! From the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. There's never a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place. The real culprit is gravity! This was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case! All together now? Not guilty. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Garrideb? Very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. Wondered if perhaps I might have been something like that. There, old bean. Poor Miss Garrideb. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book. And I threw the knife as well. I keep changing her voice. John, dear. It's alright, I know.
I'm ever so sorry. Truly.
I'm sorry! And she passed out. Nice catch! Someone with a damaged knee did great. Oh, why'd you catch her in that pose? Gotta say, the breakdowns in this game have been like a little less dramatic. So I'm hoping the later cases have some good breakdowns. What news of Miss Garrideb? She's been taken to the infirmary. It appears that today's events left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There's no cause for concern. These unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They sought to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions. There is some good news, however, my lord. I just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. How wonderful! The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. So, Mr. Soseki Natsume, Yes! On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I'd like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture. I've been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies. No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion. What conclusion, sir? I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Constable Beat said the same thing, didn't he? Thought she had been killed too. Suppose she must have looked completely lifeless. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Soseki, his imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police! Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two countries, and for that, I am truly sorry. Hey, the husband's in the jury slot for One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think, and that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by the spirit and led to false conclusions, but thanks to Lord Van Seeks and our young lawyer here from the east, the chain has now been broken and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh! Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. Concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability. Ready to present your findings to the court? Foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion. I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure. Sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know? I know what her decision would be. This mean I'll finally get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say, I'll have a corker of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Woohoo! Yay! The judge didn't have to declare the case for us this time. Show us the 6 fireworks! Exactly 6 fireworks, just as promised. Finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord Sir. You are now a free man once more. I hope you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me. Oh, yes, sir. Of course. On my life, I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I'm transported to tears. Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned. Please don't say Natsume's gonna die. Ooh, 3:17. We're 2 hours quicker than last trial. Oh, locum. Wait, you mean me? Yes, of course. Is there another locum here? Is there even one? Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with just using my actual name? At last, I'm free, I'm free! Joyful, joyous jubilance, jubilation! Heady, hearty happiness, hurrah! I'm pleased Mr. Natsume is delighted. It'd be so hard just to say that then. Look up, you did it! You saved me from the brink! What happened to the poor woman? It was in no way your fault after all. Just glad everyone can see that now. Oh no, not that! A loyal locum lawyer! I mean, as I said before, I've just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I looked over my shoulder, I see foreigners. I see towering brick buildings. High up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear, I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume. But today you locum lawyer, gave me my gloom the boot. You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. When I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold, the best barrister ever born!" Oh, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? That's what's to become of all my hard work? Ah, there you are, my dear fellows. Sholmes! Apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what up? What the hell was that? Oh, my dad's getting in the attic. That's what that was. Okay. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. You're not a moment too soon. A disaster has been averted, I'm glad to say. Trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. Sholmes, it's just finished. What? No! My haste was in vain? Arg! It's you! Herlock Sholmes! Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested. I see, I failed to recognize you at first. Previous encounters have taken place in the gloom. Either your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. Simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I've placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? Ah. Had she been taken to a hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh! It's unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Priceless. Oh, I'm sorry, really, but... That was quite priceless. Poor Soseki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And it would seem you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper. Oh, Lord Van Zeeks. Haven't forgotten, you know. What facing that man in court means. But if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will be all right, Mr. Natsume. Reaper appears trying to make trouble. I'll protect you. Hiya! Oh, god damn it! I thought I wouldn't get flipped in this. Perfectly executed Susato takedown. Which is I like being turned on my head. Bit of warning might be nice next time. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan? Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. It's already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honored with the tutelage of professors. I've read so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. I've come to realize it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. It's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, perhaps less veiled terms, I wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all! more I learn of literature, the more the strange feeling caused in my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots, attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A book of literature by Soseki-san. Maybe an interesting read. What about Miss Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? What about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? We just got here. A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And now as I feel we finally found our feet. And you're accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, we need to find lodgings before it bankrupts us. Calculate we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? Ah, but what it lacks in windows more than makes up for it with a floor, a ceiling, and walls. Great. Of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Why, evil spirit? Oh yes, it tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's infallible wake-up call. Oh, it's the cat. We'll think about it, if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, the vacancy has conveniently presented itself. It was up in the attic, I might add. Sure it isn't just the storage loft. I spoke with the landlady this morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of? This is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to take lodgings in the great detective office attic. I'm too overcome for words. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then. Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist. I don't know what to say, but thank you, and yes. Wonderful. I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release. It shan't take long. Somebody's happy. Welcome. I knew that you wouldn't let me down. Truly delighted to have met you here in London. Likewise, Mr. Natsume, it's been a privilege meeting you too. Shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon. Well, I've come to realize I belong in Japan. Look, we'll meet again someday. Yes, I'm sure. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer. Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author. Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived. Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, Mr. Sholmes. That Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening. What about Susato? Is she not coming with us? And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, rode with Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. In the attic. What, no little mini cutscene of something burning to the ground this time? 20th February, 4:41 p.m. The attic room. Alright, this isn't the word. Oh, they even left us a shovel. It's to be our new office. Our office? Rather like the sound of that. Me too, it's simply wonderful, isn't it? Hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step. I like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now. So, my dear fellows, do you like the place? Whoa, Sholmes! You can take off your hat! Good, I'm pleased to hear. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you. Hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We're as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to... Oh no, he's not going to arrive. Oh no! So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital? It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. Ah, ha, ha, ha. So precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Till I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is. Sorry? London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights cast the darkest of shadows. What do you mean? Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London. Please tell me Natsume showed up for dinner and had a happy trip home. Of course, at the time, I had no idea the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. It wasn't long before my turn came, to lift the facade and see the true depth of Murk that lay behind it. We didn't get a little cutscene this time. We just got us establishing our office. We've landed in London. Alright, what's chapter 5 called? Adventure of the Unspeakable Story. Interesting. Alright, we will cover that next time, which is either going to be tomorrow or Saturday, depending on if my friends are deciding to do stuff. Thank you all very much for coming out and watching. I'm excited to start the next part, see what happens. Hopefully Natsume is not dead. And maybe we'll find out more about this Murk that London is hiding from us. Goodbye.